Okay, here we go. Section number 3, the algebraic order of operations. Most of you have heard of this before. You've been doing it since maybe 6th, 5th grade. When simplifying algebraic expressions, we must follow an order of operations. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally or Pemdas. On a couple of the problems, we actually did this yesterday, and I didn't really point it out because I didn't want to confuse anybody that may not have known what this is. But again, anytime you're evaluating, you've got several steps that you have to do. There's a certain order you've got to do these steps in, or you're going to miss the problem. And those orders are Pemdas, or the order is Pemdas. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Where P, see if you can remember it. Try not to look at your notes, or try not to look up here as we're going through this. Just see if you remember it. What does the P stand for? Parentheses, good. What does the E stand for? Exponents. My dear, what does M and D stand for? Trick question, which one comes first? Whichever one comes first in the statement. Multiplication does not necessarily come first. Whichever one, from left to right, as you're traveling along the problem, whichever one you come to first, that's one you do first. Aunt Sally, AS is add and subtract. So parentheses first, exponent second, multiply and divide all in the third step, add and subtract the same way all in the fourth step. You do the exact same thing, do it from left to right. Let's do some examples. And again, this should be a pretty easy lesson to you. First problem is 13 plus 2 times 5. If we do 13 plus 2 and then multiply by 5, we're going to get an answer, but we're not going to get the correct answer. If you just work these problems left to right, you're going to miss them. The first thing we do, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Let me write that down. Parentheses, there are none. Exponents, there are none. Multiply and divide. Do we have any multiplication or division? Yes. 2 times 5 is 10. So what I want you to do, bring the 13 straight down. Bring the plus straight down. 2 times 5, instead of writing that, we put 10. Your problem is 13 plus 10 now, which is 23. No problem, right? If you do it left to right, what would you get there? This times. 15 times 5, which would be 75, obviously, which would be wrong. Good job. Next problem, you have 6 squared minus 4 times 3. 6 squared minus 4 times 3 plus 7 squared. And you do have exponents there. Let me write the P and E back up there. Do you have any parentheses? No. Mark it out. You do have exponents. Exponents are your powers here. You have a 6 to the second power and you have a 7 to the second power. What's just in review, if you don't remember what 6 to the second power means, it means you have 2 6's being multiplied. This many 6's being multiplied, which is 36. So now you have 36. Bring it straight down. Instead of 6 squared, write 36. Bring everything else straight down, except for 7 squared, which is 49. Excellent. A lot of people will get the first step right, but then for some reason then they just do left to right after that first step. But let's not, because we've done exponents. Multiply and divide, do we have any? Yes. We have 4 times 3 in the middle, so bring everything else straight down. 36 minus 12 plus 49. Addition and subtraction, which are we going to do first? Subtract. Because from left to right, we're going to see subtraction. So now we have 36 minus 12, which is 24 plus 49, which is 73. Carry 1. There you go. Any questions? Pretty easy. I'll slow down and let you catch up. Okay, here's the next problem. Inside parentheses, 3 times 4 plus 7 plus, inside the other set of parentheses, 2 times 4 plus 3 times 4. Again, I'm going to copy down. Please excuse. I always put M and D next to each other, and I put A and S next to each other because that is the same step. There's only 4 steps there. First step is parentheses, but you have 2 sets. Does it matter which you do first? No, it's not going to. So here's the thing about it, though. Once you're inside parentheses, you also have to go down through those steps and follow the same order. Like inside this parentheses, we have 3 times 4 plus 7. What are you going to do first, multiply or add? Multiply. So Inside here we have 12 plus 7. And let's go ahead and do the first steps over here. 8 plus 12, because we're going to multiply again first. 8 plus 12. We're still finishing our parentheses. So inside the first set of parentheses we have 19, good, plus the second set we have 20. So 19 and 20 does give you 39. Good job. Okay, here we go. Next problem. 80 divided by 2 plus 6 times 5 equals 50. I like this problem. It makes you think a little bit more. It says insert grouping symbols. Why are we insert grouping? What does grouping symbols do? What's special about grouping symbols? When do you do grouping symbols? You always do them first. When I say grouping symbols, those are your parentheses, braces, brackets, absolute value bars. Those are all grouping symbols. But we always do them first. And that's the reason we want to put grouping symbols somewhere in here, to where that's going to be the first thing we do, to where it comes out to be a true statement. Before I do that, I want to say, okay, what if I didn't put grouping symbols? What is this actually equal to? Let's try. Is it 70? Let's see. Parentheses, there are none. Exponents, there are none. Multiply and divide. From left to right, we're going to divide first and then multiply. Does it even matter in this one which one we would do first? No. But we'd have 80 divided by 2, which would be 40 plus 30, which would give us 70. So obviously that's not equal to 50. So we've got to go through and put some parentheses in here somewhere to make it equal 50. Question though, would I put them here? Why not? That's basically the same thing as I know what we did first anyway. Same thing. This one's kind of an easy problem, because would I put them here? No, because again, that's basically what we did first anyway, so that kind of limits it to where we're going to put it. What do y'all think we're going to put it around? Let's try it around 2 and 6. That's going to change your problem a lot, because now you have 80 divided by, what is 2 plus 6? 8 times 5. You see how that changed your problem? So now, left to right, now it does make a difference whether you multiply or divide first, because of the way the problem's laid out. You do it from left to right, so what are we going to do first? Well, we've done parentheses. We're not doing 8 times 5 first. So that checks out. So that is the correct placement for your parentheses there. Okay, on the next set of problems, we're going back to what we did yesterday. Evaluating expressions. And you're going to find this happens a lot in the book. They'll take sections that you just finished, and then they'll introduce a new concept, then they'll go back and say, okay, now let's do what we just did, plus let's pull in what we did yesterday and let's combine them. And that's what they're doing with example 3 here. It says if A is 2, B is 4, and C is 5, evaluate the following expressions. And so when it says, let's see if we remember this. Let me pull up my pencil here. Evaluate. Evaluate an expression. Can anybody tell me in 2 words what does that evaluate mean? 2 words. 2 words. Evaluate the expression. What are you going to do with this A, B, and C? You're going to put 2 for that. How could you explain that in 2 words? Plug in. That's all evaluate means. Plug in. You take A is 2, you plug it in for A, the 2. You take B is 4, you plug the 4 in for B. You take C is 5, you plug the 5 in for C. That's all it wants you to do. When it says evaluate the expression, plug in what you know in for what you don't know. So the first problem says A squared plus B squared. A squared plus B squared. What did they tell us A was? So A was 2 and B was 4. So instead of A squared plus B squared, you now have 2 squared plus 4 squared. And now it's, again, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Parentheses, are there any? Exponents, are there any? Yes. 2 squared and 4 squared. 2 squared is 4, because 2 times 2. 4 squared is 16. Now it's an easy problem. Your answer is 20. Next problem, A squared minus B plus C. A squared minus B plus C. And our C was 6, wasn't it? C was 5, not 6. So here we go. First step, just take your A, B's, and C's, take them out, put in 2's, 4's, and 5's. So instead of a squared, you have 2 squared. Go ahead and plug it all in first, just so we can take a look at it. So 2 squared minus 4 plus 5. Getting into something. This is odd. They threw this in chapter 1. Yeah, they threw it in chapter 1, but we actually don't get to positives and negatives to chapter 2. We'll see how much you know about them. 2 squared again. Well, do we do 2 squared first? No. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. We do parentheses first. Parentheses, and you'll get to later on, once you work a ton of these problems, and you might be doing it already. Could I do exponents first here? Yeah. You could go ahead and do parentheses and exponents in the same step because they're not connected. So it would be legal. But let's follow our order here. 2 squared minus 4 plus 5 is 9. Exponents next gives you 4 minus 9. If you have 4 and you take away 9, yeah, you end up with a negative 5. We'll talk about that more next section, but here's how you can think about it. There's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to take away 9, so you're going to go left 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You do end up negative, and it's going to be a negative 5. But again, we'll get into more of that in chapter 2. I believe it's positives and negatives. So as long as you can do it with that, not really concerned with in your positives and negatives yet. B squared plus C squared minus C. Hang on just a second. A was 2, B was 4, and C is 5. Take and plug everything in that you do know. Here you go, Brittany. Rewrite that for me. Plug everything in that you know. Brittany back here. Just read it after you plug it all in. Good. Everybody again understand how we plug that stuff in. Where there's an A, put a 2. Where there's a B, put a 4. Where there's a C, put a 5. That's all evaluating is. Plug it in. Let's see. Let me get a list. Grant, what's the first thing that you're going to do? The stuff in parentheses. The problem is, though, we've got actually 2 different operations in parentheses. There you go. We're going to do exponent first, subtraction next, because look at your list. Exponent comes before subtraction. So inside parentheses, we're going to do exponent first. Zach, do the exponent first for me. Bringing everything else down. 4 squared plus, what is 5 squared? Yep. Good job. 25, and then we have a minus 2. The 25 comes down right below the 5 squared. Joseph, what's the next thing we're going to do? Are we? Parentheses. There you go. We're doing the stuff inside parentheses next. Could we? Let's talk about that though. Could we in this problem? Raise your head up, Joey. Thanks, sir. I fall asleep in my class. We could do exponents for this next step here because the exponents and parentheses are not even connected. So you could. Good job. So we now have 4 squared plus 23. Misty, what would you do next? Perfect. And what would 4 squared be? Great. So we now have 16 plus 23, which anybody is 39. So your answer there is 39. You got what? Next problem. It says sometimes we have implied parentheses when evaluating expressions. Look at example 4, and it says use a graphing calculator. I'm not. I just want to work it out. 17 plus 97 over 2. Hang on just a second. Is it plus? No, minus. 42 minus 6 over 12. Trick question. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Do we have parentheses here? There's not any that you can see, no, but we do have parentheses here. That's the reason I said it's a trick question. That's it. Anytime you have like a big fraction bar with a bunch of stuff on top and a bunch of stuff on bottom, either way, there are implied parentheses because think about it. We're supposed to divide before we add and subtract, correct? Look at this first thing here. And if you don't know this, this is a note that I would make, and you might want to put it in your notes if you don't know it. A fraction bar, do y'all know what a fraction bar means? Divide. A fraction bar is a division symbol. But what about 2/3? That's not division, right? It is division, yeah. Because if you divide 2 divided by 3, do you know what you get? You get 0.6666. It changed it to a decimal for you. So yeah, a fraction bar is a division symbol. 2/3 and 0.6 repeating, same thing. Same thing. So same thing like 3/4. If you divide 3 divided by 4, if you use your calculator and divide that, you get 0.75, which is the same thing as 3/4. So yeah, fraction bars are division symbols. But here, if you follow Please Excuse My Dear Aunt Sally, it says to divide before you add and subtract. So we're going to have to try to divide before adding and subtracting? No. Because you have what's called implied parentheses. If you wanted to, all the stuff on top you can put in parentheses. All the stuff on bottom, which we only have a single number, you can put in parentheses. So anytime you have a bunch of stuff on top of a fraction, do all that first. It's in parentheses. It's again called implied parentheses. It's not there, but we more or less assume that it is there. So on top, 17 plus 97 is 114 over 2. Notice what I did there, just the stuff here I replaced with 114, minus 42 minus 6 is 36 over 12. And you're thinking, oh goodness, now I got to subtract these two fractions. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because, again, what does this bar mean? Divide. So now we have division. We have division here. We have division here. We have subtraction. Which comes first now, division or subtraction? Division. We've took care of all of our parentheses. 114 divided by 2, 57, minus 36 divided by 12, 3. Now it's easy. 57 minus 3, 54. Any questions? Okay, here we go. Next problem. The reason I'm giving you this problem, two different reasons. Number one, to show you that there's more than one type of grouping symbol. And a lot of people says, well, there's more than one type of parentheses. Is there more than one type of parentheses? No, that's a parenthesis right there. You actually have more than one type of grouping symbol. You have parentheses, you have brackets, and you have braces. And there's one other type which a lot of people don't consider grouping symbols. It's also absolute value. Is also a grouping symbol. We'll get to that later on in the evening. But that is a grouping symbol as well. So with this many grouping symbols, where do we start? We start in the middle. We start right here. Because, well, we're going to do parentheses first. We're going to do grouping symbols first. Start with the innermost. Can you do anything to 3? No. So you move out, and now we've got the 2, 3 plus 1. That's what we're going to do something with next. Anytime, there you go, that's what I was fixing to ask you. Anytime you have a number and then another number in parentheses next to it, that means to multiply. That's just another way of saying times. So let's see if we can just do that whole thing. 2 times 3 is 6. We do that first, then plus 1 is 7. So let me bring the other stuff down. Braces is hard to draw. Yeah. I have to draw it in halves. I'll do the top part and then bottom part. Top part, bottom part. I'm okay with the left side, but the right side's a whole lot harder. Okay, now, again, we're working from the innermost. So now the inside is this, because there's nothing else we can do inside that brace. It's just 7. So now we have 2 times 7 plus 1, which is 14, and 1, which is 15. Good job. So now we have 3, and all this stuff is equal to 15. And then plus 1. So now it's an easy problem. 3 and then another number inside grouping symbol. Again, all that means is multiply. So this is 3 times 15 plus 1, which is 45, plus 1. There's your answer. You can. Yeah, that's what, again, even my pre-calculus, it looks like that. That's what their braces look like. So yeah, that's fine. So any questions?